hanging around. Kids got alligator blood.
I don't know about you, but have you ever had the exquisite joy of attending a social function where there's someone you know who is racist? It's really funny. I mean, look, racism isn't funny, but in a way it kind of is. No, what I mean is it's such an odd position to be in where, you're at a social function. For me, I mean, I just mean anything where there's a lot of people. I play basketball every week, and unfortunately, I have to play with most of the people that I play basketball with are totally cool. They're fine, but there's this one guy in particular who, I mean, he just looks like an idiot. He's one of those guys like he has a hairstyle that looks like he combs his hair with a pillow. Have you ever seen someone like that? And he, for the first time I kind of heard him. I've been, playing every week for a while now, for a couple months with these guys, and most of them are totally fine. But there's this one guy who couldn't help but make derogatory comments about Asians, and I was immediately like, I mean, I shouldn't have been stunned, but there's just something about hearing derogatory comments about an entire race that will always kind of shock me, because I'm always a little bit like, how is it in 2016 we still have, you know, this level of stupidity? Like that just happened. Like there's literally someone out there who thinks in terms of tribes. And so I always think it's like, what's the social etiquette? What do you think is the appropriate way to handle a social situation wherein you want to be there, you want to enjoy yourself, and you don't want a racist idiot to ruin your night out, so to speak, or to ruin your, because otherwise it's kind of like a fun couple hours. I get to hang out with my brother, which I like to do. And so, uh, do you let one idiot ruin your night? You know what I mean? Like, do you call the guy out and make it uncomfortable for everybody else? Because otherwise, it's just a pickup basketball game. This isn't a political forum in a way. Uh, so, what do you think is the right social etiquette? So, part of me is just like, I kind of have to restrain myself in a way, because otherwise I'd lose my temper. I mean, not that I'm like some big tough guy, but I just mean like I'll get angry in a way that makes other people feel uncomfortable. Like I can be one of those people where I'll get angry and then other people will be like, it'll be like uncomfortably quiet. And I hate being that guy. I don't want to be the guy that like makes other people uncomfortable. At the same time, I feel like, why am I the guy that gets the bad rap? Shouldn't the racist idiot be the guy that everybody else looks around uncomfortably, like, who invited this dumbass? You know what I mean? Like, who invited the guy that combs his hair with a pillow? Whose decision was that? And why did that decision get approved? So, so what are your thoughts on that? Do you speak out and say, "Hey, can you cut?" Like, yeah, you know, uh, those ridiculously bigoted comments. Can you keep those to yourself? You know what I mean? But I don't like people who are bigoted. Even if they don't say it out loud, they're still going to be a bigoted idiot. So there's not much you can like. Just that fact that he keeps it to himself doesn't really change anything. I mean, it kind of keeps the social order of things in a way, but it doesn't actually change anything. Uh, and so that's kind of why I have mixed feelings about it, because even when you get into a debate with racist people, as I unfortunately have, I've had debates with people who are Holocaust deniers, debates with people who believe in eugenics. I know it's unfortunate, but I have extended relatives that are complete morons, and so I can feel good saying that because I'm not blood related to them, so they're just extended relatives through other situations. They're complete morons, and you know, so I learned, and everyone knows this. You all know this. People who are on the side of sanity are find racism just utterly repulsive. So of course you're going to hate it. Of course you're going to cringe the moment someone says something utterly ignorant, and you're going to the natural part of you is going to want to speak out and say, whatever it is you want to say, like get your head out of your ass or something like that. So obviously that doesn't accomplish anything. But even when you're talking in a rational, kind of calm manner, that doesn't accomplish anything either, because racism isn't rational to begin with. So you're just by getting in a debate, you're assuming a kind of rationality that isn't there. So there's really, I feel like battling racism, that's part of what makes it so difficult, is that you can't address it with reason. Even with compassion, like all that lovey-dovey shit doesn't work either. If it did, we'd be living in a society without it. It's more, racism is more like, I feel like the long view, like it's just an ongoing battle. And you sort of have to address it at the level of policy, like not having segregated schools. But again, that you make progress, but you don't solve it overnight. And I can tell you that I certainly don't think that you're going to cure somebody of their racism by arguing with them on a basketball court. So that's the catch-22. You don't say anything and you feel like an idiot for not saying anything. You do say something and you feel like an idiot for getting in an argument with somebody who is not capable of being in an argument with. You know what I mean? Simply just not capable of thinking rationally and logically. So my attitude is like, unless it's something really, really bad, really, really racist, I kind of I don't know what the word is. You just sort of grit your teeth and just go, well, he might just say it once and I might not hear another comment from him for another year, and maybe that's the end of it. But I always feel a little bit like you should say something. But even if you say something, it doesn't accomplish anything. That's the catch-22. So do you do it for its own sake? And a part of me thinks, yeah, fuck yeah, you do. You say something for its own sake. So I feel like next time I hear something ignorant come out of that guy's mouth, I gotta make fun of him. Someone has to make fun of this idiot. You know what I mean? Someone's got to do it. I cannot not make fun of the guy, at least. There has to be some level of self-respect. Not going to accomplish anything other than me having a laugh. That's not bad, right? Maybe making some of the other guys laugh too. So that's the problem. And yeah, playing basketball with racists, to basketball or not to basketball. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of stupid people. I think that's the exact quote. I'm not an expert on Shakespeare. Yeah, but I find that problem in general. It's like playing basketball with racists, same problem as, having Easter Sunday dinner and there are extended relatives there and they're racist. And so you kind of like, I'm always looking at my watch or my timer. It's like, I can set the timer like in an hour from now, someone's going to say something asinine and ignorant and bigoted. Last Easter, I have to say nothing racist was ever said, so that's not bad. But generally at Christmas and Easter time, I'll hear something just utterly ignorant. And I'm the only person in my family who gets genuinely agitated when I hear stuff like that. yeah, I don't think my family's super developed in that area. So I feel like the only sane response is to be agitated by it or to have some sort of negative reaction. Uh, and at the same time, you become this party pooper type person where you're just like everyone's trying to have a good time, and it's like, well, excuse me, but if you're having a good time means saying dumbass things, uh, I don't know if I can keep quiet on that. You know what I mean? Why don't you put the turkey down and stop saying idiotic things? You know, it's really bad though. Honestly, it's like, how do you have a conversation with a Holocaust denier? How do you have a rational conversation with someone who doesn't think the Holocaust happened? I actually had to have an argument with somebody about that. I had an argument with a guy who thought George W. Bush was evil and Hitler got a bad rap. Like Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy. Holocaust didn't happen. Hitler wasn't that bad of a guy. How do you talk to someone like that? How do you keep your but at the same time, how do you keep your mouth shut when you hear that level of stupidity? It's a kind of stupidity. It's like an exotic animal. It's like you didn't think it existed, and it's like, oh, like these are real. It's almost like I saw a unicorn. It's like, this whole time I thought unicorns didn't exist. Turns out they do. This whole time I thought people this moronic didn't exist, and it turns out they actually do. They're out there. They are out there. Holocaust deniers are out there. People who believe in eugenics are out there. They actually exist, and you might see them at Thanksgiving dinner. You might see them at your Christmas dinner. And then so what do you do? I'm always like, my rule is, for the most part, just don't get into it, because you never win in an argument with an idiot. You never win in an argument with a stupid person. You just never win. You don't. Because you can't introduce logic to people that don't value logic. You can't give evidence to somebody who doesn't think evidence is important to begin with. But it's horrendous. It's a horrendous reality. It's utterly, I don't know, just repugnant. So that's why whenever Christmas comes around, I'm always a bit queasy. Whenever Thanksgiving or Easter comes around, I'm always a little bit like, oh, fuck, I don't want to go. I don't want to go there, because I'm just going to have to, it means shutting my mouth on things that I don't want to. And if I do speak out, it's going to be me just, giving them a bit of a verbal spanking, so to speak. But a verbal spanking that they're not going to get to begin with. They're not going to really understand what's going on. So, because their head's too far up their own ass. So, it doesn't really make anybody feel good except me. And even then, I don't even feel that good about it. I'm just like, I got something on my chest. This person still remains an idiot. So, to basketball or not to basketball, I choose to basketball. Uh, but so that means saying something. You got to say something. But maybe the answer of to be or not to be is picking your battles. You can't fight them all. You can't fight every single racist all the time. But you got to do it every once in a while, just to maintain a certain level of dignity and self-respect. But what do you think about it? I'd love to hear any feedback. I'd love to hear any stories of people having in a similar situation. What did you do? Did you speak out and say, listen, you're a fucking moron? Or did you choose the polite route and go very Canadian and say, well, excuse me, but I beg to differ. I do think the Holocaust happened. And I think you should read Hilberg's book on the history of wiping out European Jews. Um, you know, I doubt that somebody who is a bigot is going to go, oh, yeah, is there a book that kind of details the entire history through copious amounts of research? Oh, I'd love to read that book. That just never happens. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the next basketball game. Luckily, this this racist idiot, um, he doesn't show up every week. It's very rare. So I'm always banking on not having to see a bigot. It just makes the Tuesday nights go a little bit easier.